Hello, beautiful people. All right, this is part 2 that you've been waiting for with bated breath. The 5 more tips, or is it 6? 6 more tips about things that I've learned as a freelancer, working as a freelance consultant for the past over a decade. Part 1 of this video, I'll have a link underneath. Make sure you subscribe and then you'll just get notified when the next one comes out, okay? But I wanted to get to the next 6 tips. Just to preamble this, if this is your first video and you haven't seen the first one yet. When I got into freelancing, I was not prepared. I didn't know that I wasn't prepared. And so one of the things I did is I read this book on how to run a consulting business. And then when I read it, I thought, hey, I'm done, I'm ready. And it was all the wrong advice. The reason it was because it was pretty vanilla. And I find that a lot of the advice out there for business is kind of old school bureaucracy instead of just like the hardcore kind of steps. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I want you to be successful. This is from the hard advice, and because I see a lot of people struggling and I see a lot of people getting probably pretty bad advice from other people who are not in the business of business. And there's all these people who with this employee mindset, and I'm sorry, employees' mindsets are not entrepreneurial mindsets because we haven't been taught how to be entrepreneurs. And so a part of the tips that I'm sharing is not necessarily things that have to do with e-learning. It's not things that have to do with instructional design. The tips that I'm sharing here have to do with the other part that makes us uncomfortable in many ways to manage, which is the business part. And when I stepped into managing my own consulting e-learning development shop, there were so many things there that I had to learn the hard way, and I'm still learning, that were not in any books, that nobody told me when I started, that nobody knew. And I wish I had this advice. So I'm hoping that this is helpful to you. If you're enjoying this content, make sure you check out part 1 because there's some really great tips there. But let's get to tip number 6. Referrals are awesome. Always ask for them. And it's interesting because at first I felt kind of like, you don't want to ask for referrals. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, duh, Anna, of course, referrals are great. Referrals are great only if they lead to the kind of work that you want. So I don't want you to feel like when you get a referral that you have to work with that person. But one of the things that you want to do is get in the habit of creating relationships with those people, because then there might be an opportunity for you to do the kind of project that you want. Now, one of the things I always propose, and this is something me and my partner Ryan always kind of stress to our coaching clients, is that you don't have to take on all the work. You want to become a specialist, and then what happens is, there's a tip coming up around that. Find people who want the thing that you have. And so referrals are fantastic. Always ask for them. Don't ask at the end. Ask midway. Okay, this one's going to be contentious, and I don't care because I've had the worst experience in this, and I think that you can go. The pendulum swings both ways. So RFPs, which is request for proposal, I think they are horrible things, especially for small shops. A request for proposal is like, I've gotten surveys and questionnaires that have taken me, I kid you not, 2 days to complete and finish. 86 questions. Basically, it's like we're getting married, but it's worse because this person knows more about me, my team, my vision, all the things I've done. It's just like, it's like there's no need for a resume because I'm rewriting everything I do in this form. Here is what I learned from top salespeople about RFPs. Never, ever, ever submit an RFP if you are not able to initially talk to the person, the person managing those that process, and establish a relationship with them first. Because a lot of RFPs really, most organizations have basically a vendor they love working with. They have established relationships. And so what happens is, in order to follow protocol, yes, I use quotation marks, follow protocol, what they do is they have to have at least 3 bids on something, right? So what they'll do is they'll put out this RFP, and then they'll get those numbers back, and then they'll basically use that either to negotiate the price with the vendor that they want, or just justify working with that person in the first place. And so if you don't have a relationship with those people, usually you will not get that RFP. The other part of it, which I think is just kind of intense, is that upfront work that you have to do. Now, for the longest time, me and my partner Ryan it was a duo, right? It was just the two of us working, and we would work with contractors. And so the only person who could really work on those RFPs was me or him. And it's like having the CEO fill in that stuff. And so you can't do all the other creative work, which is like sales and marketing and also the thinking and the creative, right? So it's kind of takes you away from the things that are important. I know there are places that are bigger and they have like a dedicated person who is, who does those things. And that for me is like, that's a luxury I never had. And so for me, RFPs are, unless it's like a direct referral from past client who's like, I want you to work on this. Do you think you want to work on this project? That's the only time I'll fill in an RFP. Otherwise, nada. No, not wasting my time, because I find it is just too much of a time suck, and I could spend the next 2 days marketing, reaching out to people who I know will probably want to solve a specific problem, and those people will in time probably end up working with me. So this is another one of those. In the part one, I had one of these like good juju kind of tip. And what I wanted to tell you, this is a mindset kind of tip, and this is number 8. You don't have to take on terrible projects. Now, yes, definitely I talked about the fact that sometimes if you don't market, then what happens is you end up having to take on projects that suck. But what I want you to also consider is that marketing effort, the talking to people, getting leads, solidifying things, that takes 90 days to kind of start like giving you, feeding back to you. So if you're in day 60 and you're not getting everything that you want, don't worry. Just keep on taking those actions every day to reach out to people that you want to work with and continue that cycle. What I found in our communities is that people are okay with working on projects that don't move the needle for them professionally, on projects that they have to reinvest all this time in order to learn a new tool or in order to basically rejig their skill set so they can accommodate something. And I've done that. It's stressful, because then you're like, okay, well, I learned how to make these beautiful, PDFs, but I'm never going to do that again. And now I've just like wasted like 3 weeks of my life learning how to do a skill that I actually, 1, I'm not going to use again, 2, didn't really enjoy, and 3, I don't want to market. So one of the things you want to just believe is that there's abundance in the world, because there is, and that the projects that you want to do are out there, and you just have to keep on showing up every day, and those things will manifest. So step into the world every day with this mindset of abundance, because if you step into the world, your office every day, with the idea that there is scarcity and that you're not going to get the work you want and that people are cheap and that the budgets are tight and there's that, the world is falling apart, that is going to be the thing that manifests in your life. So if you want to have the positivity and the abundance, you have to believe it is there first. And to me, that has been a very difficult lesson to learn, because it's easy to be cynical when things don't go your way. But it is also, once you make that switch and you believe a different reality, everything matches to have that manifest. So I hope you take that to heart. Let me know what you think about these. By the way, as I'm going through these, if you think of any ideas that you're having that you found would be useful, that you wish you had, that tips that you wish you had shared or somebody shared with you, put them in the comments. I would love to hear it. And also anything that I'm talking about that you want to discuss more, comments. Let's do this. All right. So number 9. Okay. This one is super important. And I think that this one might warrant even its own video. But it also is something that I think people misunderstand in the L&D industry, because like I said, a lot of us are coming in from an employee mindset and we don't understand what it means. Niching, or as you would say in the United States, niching. I'm in Canada, you guys. French is the other language we say niche. Niching is not about specializing in a topic. Like, people will say, Anna is a specialist and she's a niched in interactive storytelling. No, I'm not. actually. Niching is about helping a specific type of person with a specific type of problem. That's what niching is. And so one of the things I think we do is we're like, oh, I'm a specialist in an LMS. I niche in LMSs, and then you help the world. That's not niching. That's just that's we're confusing topics with specific industries. And so one of the things that I found and this is a hard lesson as well, is that when you're doing niching, you want to not only figure out how you're going to help somebody, but who that person is. Because let's say you're the kind of person who helps, let's say, sales teams get to the next level, and you have a beautiful scenario training that helps them do that. Let's say that's your, area of expertise is scenario training for sales teams. Then you take that and you basically pick it up and move it somewhere else and say, I help sales teams with scenarios. That's niching, right? Like you're now going from scenarios and sales teams. So there's this focus. And even then you go even further and say sales teams that work in retail, sales teams that work in pharmaceutical sales, sales teams that work in auto sales. Do you get my drift? So niching is important. It'll make you stand out versus people who are like, oh, I'm an LMS. I niche in LMSs. No, that doesn't work. Or I niche in interactive stories. That also doesn't work because you're not niching. That's just a topic. So I hope that helps. And we can definitely discuss that a little bit further. It's a scary thing. That's why most people don't do it. It's scary to say, I'm going to say no to all these things. But every time you say no to all these other things, guess what? You got to say yes to some other things. And the gap sometimes isn't perfect. It isn't when you say no to the project you hate that the next minute you're going to get this project that you want. But like I said, coming through with those actions, the persistent actions to continue marketing. Remember I said one of my tips was 80% of the things that you do are sales and marketing. You persist and it will come through because those actions are the things that deliver the project that you want. All right. Now, the other thing is, this is important as well. Number 10 is go where the e-learning has a really high return on investment. I've done projects where, and they've, in some ways, they've actually almost kind of deflated me because I've gone to places and worked with people and worked on projects where the training is an afterthought, where the training is there to just like use up the budget, which is fine. But what happens is they don't have the same kind of momentum and they don't deliver the kind of results that I can then leverage to sell my project to other people. If your project is something where, as a result, let's say a multi-million-dollar company now saves 10 minutes every time there's a transaction done with a customer, and you've managed to save them $500,000 a month, that's a fantastic return on investment, right? Versus we were able to get 300 people in seats and they all completed it. That's just not the same thing. Do you know what I mean? So you want to look for places where, in projects where the business value is so good that then what happens, the bonus of that is not only can you use that as a case study, but your pricing is irrelevant, right? Because the ROI, the return on investment is so great. And so what you want to do is you always want to be searching for the business opportunity, not the training opportunity. And I hope that makes sense. All right, now, number 11, this is the bonus one. The focus should be more on marketing your craft versus your craft. I'm not saying don't be a great, amazing instructional designer. But what I am saying is that being a starving artist is not good for anybody. And I don't want you to be one of a starving artists. And guess what? I have been a starving artist where, you're just like, I'm so good and nobody knows it. Nobody out there appreciates me. You have to be the person advertising how good you are and how good you are at solving people's problems. And go there with that confidence, even if you don't have it yet. Because one of the things you can do is, if you're the right kind of person, and if you're watching this, you might be, is that If you're faced with a challenge, then what will happen is, even if you don't know how to figure it out, you will work your butt off to make sure that it is solved. You will work your butt off to learn the thing as you need to learn it to solve that problem for that client and deliver for them. And so it's more important to get the great client and attract them than it is to know everything about everything. Because like I said, there's tons of artists out there that we don't know about. They're amazing because they find sales and marketing is like the yucky thing to do. Well, really, you should be the one trying to educate people, and not your peers, but people with real problems who can pay to solve those problems, to get those people on board and working with you. I hope this was useful. If you found these helpful or provocative or challenging or whatever, put that in the comments. Make sure you subscribe so you can see more videos like this. And if you enjoyed this, also check out part 1 of this series. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me and watching these videos, for your wonderful comments and messages that I get. And I'm finding this a really rewarding process. Hopefully you are as well. Now, if you have any tips, of course, share them in the comments so I can learn from you as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video, friends. Take care. Bye.